But finding yourself here means truly enjoying this process of being alive to the true measure of what it means, soaking in this experience, as Rumi would put it, soaking in the garden, you see? So you're fully soaked in juices, in all, in the rain, in the morning dew, right? In all the fruit juices. So it leaks down your lips and your chest. And it's like, it's all, it's sort of, when you are ready to offer yourself, no regrets are there, you see? No reservations.
I have a sense of where I am on this path very early in Pranathana, as I understand, preparing my body. And I have a sense of how to continue. I don't need to know. It happens. And at the same time, I want to set up my life more and more, or I have and am setting up my life more and more to be able to facilitate this on a just physical level where I do it, but also mentally and occupationally, relationally, culturally, all of the things. And there's one query, how to continue, I guess, creating this for myself. And the other part, which touches me a little bit more, is many moments along this path realizing, I'm letting go of life. I'm letting go of what is maybe considered normal, but also the things I have enjoyed as a cultured individual. And there's this double of freedom that I don't have to endure these rituals, cultural rituals, but at the same time a kind of, okay, well, I'm left with less of a desire to do these things or need to do these things, but still being in, let's say, old relationships, or I live in Berlin at the moment, although that's been shifting over the years as well, and not wanting to, I guess, end up fully recluse, as my tendency at the moment is to find a little house somewhere in nature and just to be there, earn my money online, something I've set up over the last years, and really just to kind of disappear more and more into this work. So I feel like I'm on the cusp of this. There are some steps that I've taken for this to be real and internal realizations of letting go. But still, if I wanted to, I could steer the ship back, maybe into how it was. It's not my desire, but it's kind of in that place still. So I don't know if the question is very clear, but how to continue.
It's clear overall,
Mm-hmm.
just this last bit.
Mm-hmm.
So is it your
Mm-hmm.
concern? Is there a slight concern that life may, that kind of so-called cultured into a particular individual life may reclaim you or not? So then I want to clarify this last bit.
I think the fear is that if I continue down this path, it will not work out, or something like this.
What would not work out?
Mm. Mm-hmm. I think the fear is that I don't earn money or can't earn money, that
okay, yeah.
just survival, even though I would say realistically it's not a concern. You know,
Yes.
I can go to my dad, I can go to my mother. I think I will find places.
Sure.
So it's more of a,
Yeah.
what happens if I disappear out of the normal life, and
This is very important question, very important inquiry. Of course, all of us are different in that respect, in terms of the predispositions. And these predispositions are largely colored by a certain way that we have been brought up and certain influences beneath the surface of affairs, something I would even say in terms of our psychological setup from get-going. This is where astrology plays tremendously important and helpful role. Astrology proper, not New Age kind of like, often mumbo-jumbo, and proper astrology. Vedic astrology is in particularly very emphatic and precise because it doesn't predict anything. This is where people get confused, who dismiss that. Nor is it meant to be followed as a rule. It simply shows the trajectory already there. The trajectory, certain propensity, because a good astrologer can look at the chart and already can see the given predispositions. Let's us make a very, very down-to-earth, gross example. For example, I wouldn't, if I were in school and selecting boys for certain sports, seeing you tall, right, I wouldn't put you into the wrestling. It just doesn't make sense. Or gymnastics. Yeah, maybe volleyball, basketball, handball, this kind of like. So in other words, these predispositions are very strongly determined and guided by activity of the planets, the energy that these planets emit. And of course, Vedically speaking, these planets are not out there. Our cortexes are structured. We have the moon and the sun and the Mars and the Jupiter and the Saturn all here in the cortexes, corresponding cortexes, brain cortexes even, are ruled, governed by the planets. Why am I starting from here? Because it's very important that we know our strengths, our weaknesses, and the gray areas as well. See? So in other words, this is where a certain conformation can come, which will be extremely useful, helpful. In fact, it's bringing to awareness what already is and somehow maybe lurking beneath the surface or being kind of on a level of stumbling across, not really knowing, full of blind spots. And with that confirmation, then one can see also the propensities as well, tendencies. Spiritual work at the level of where we are not just delegating our life, delegating everything to the divine, to the power that be, also comprises of these aspects where we are meant to shed light on areas which feels uncomfortable. This is the necessity for spiritual work at the level of growing up emotionally, psychologically. Maybe tomorrow we'll give it a discourse, stages of psychological development. Maybe it will be helpful. So with that understanding that there is this given predispositions, with these predispositions also there are this karmic axis, like I would just maybe give in a little bit more without going into the territory where I'll inevitably would begin to tread on someone else's territory, on the territory of professionals who know much more than I do, or much more than I will ever do, because I don't have that desire. But of particular importance here is what's known as the karmic axis. it's the position of the places of the lunar nodes. In other words, it's a position of where the moon is eclipsed. You see? Where eclipsed moon and the sun. But Vedic astrology in particular emphatic on the importance of the moon. Therefore, all the nakshatras, phases of the moon. Nakshatras are of tremendous importance. So within the nakshatras, there are this, what is known as karmic axis, known as Rahu and Ketu, ascending and descending. Mythologically, Rahu represents severed head of a great serpent, and Ketu represents that body of the severed head serpent. You see, the head of the serpent, Rahu, stands for insatiable desire to experience everything in this world. And the Ketu represents the past memories. It represents the domain of which deals with everything that is underground. You see? So in other words, we have these two opposites, extremes. The flamboyant, party-goer, right, insatiable playboy, and the renunciate. And so the balancing this, it becomes an act. So this understanding of what this karmic axis represents is understanding why are we born, where we are born, into the family we are born, with a set of circumstances, and all that goes into the full gamut of this, what is extraordinarily can be seen. What are the lessons? Why, for some people, there would be a lot of karmic work to do. For others, seems like plain sailing almost like there's no fairness there. And indeed, from that point of view, as we speak of fairness, there's no fairness. Some lessons must be learned. This, we believe it in incarnation or not, but in this embodiment, in this incarnation, something playing itself out. And of course, when planets are in certain houses at birth, then the next most important thing in the transits. So we can already see, and the astrology will tell you, you're entering, let's say the main transit of guided by Venus. Pick up the brush, man, musical instrument, fall in love, form a relationship, shoot a movie, everything. You'll have that support. But if the transit of different kind, Saturn, buckle up, right? Get ready to be placed under tremendous pressure, where juices will be squeezed out of you. So this is very important for you as an encouragement to know this as you are still a young man, so you don't read your astrology when you're 50. Oh, now it explains. Oh, damn it, I wish I knew it back then. See? And with that, you will also see that, yes, in a way, like planets in the places, there will be support of nature, at least with regard to, let's say, breadwinning, with regard to the economics of it all. So you can already relax about it, you see? Like literally, relax about it. Or if there is there are lessons at that level, means, you know what, doesn't matter how many workshops of becoming millionaire by the age of 30, or no, that was 2 years ago. Become millionaire by the age of 30, that's passé. Become millionaire after 5 weekends. No, that's what is sold online. Each time any of the videos to watch, this comes up there, you're doing manifestation wrong, and I can prove it. And it's just like this young voice and trying to tell me what manifestation is about. You're doing manifestation wrong. You're sitting meditating. You think you're knowing how to manifest. I will prove it you're wrong. If it shows in the chart that there are lessons in this realm, you can also relax about it. Doesn't mean that you don't reach for the stars, but at least you don't kick yourself that whatever you try doesn't work. You see? One way or another, astrology can be read at many levels. Utilitarian, superficial, practical, just get me the dates, when to have a meeting, when not to have a meeting, right? That kind of thing. When to travel, when not to travel, when to marry, when to divorce. Or astrology can serve as a tremendous support of spiritual sadhana. Of course, different people with different predispositions will ask accordingly. And if astrology is experienced and attuned enough, he or she will feel what guidance and what is to offer there. And this is of supreme importance because this is what sets you free, in a sense now, to give your attention to the pursuit of finding yourself. You see? Not that you ever lost yourself, but finding yourself here means truly enjoying this process of being alive to the true measure of what it means. Soaking in this experience, as Rumi would put it, soaking in the garden, you see? So you're fully soaked in juices, in the rain, in the morning dew, right? In all the fruit juices. So it leaks down your lips and your chest. And it's like, it's sort of, when you are ready to offer yourself, no regrets are there. You see? No reservations. This is one of the perspectives. Live your life. That's what it means. So some people are by predisposition already, and that would be shown in the horoscope, in the chart, in the Lagna Kundali, it's called. It will show already predispositions to renounce your world, to become a loner, or to go thick into the marketplace of this world. So you might be going through a phase where you feel what would be healthy is to be away from it all and give your attention to the pursuit of spiritual, let's say, maturity. That need to be honored. That impulse comes from somewhere. If instead you would have been taken by the propensity of, well, I want to go to Manhattan and leave a mark on the world, or Beijing, or I don't know where, Moscow, Toronto, whatever, big cities, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro. Or maybe you want to go to somewhere and, change the face of modern industry, Silicon Valley. You have to follow that impulse. But if that impulse is not there, then obviously, why to fool oneself, right? So already you're pretty much together to me, even the questions and the pace and the clarity that you're asking, then already I wouldn't worry that you're going to just walk out of here and wouldn't find the bus or train or Uber or how to get home. And some people are like that. They need to be held when they cross the road. You see? They're scattered all over, so their spiritual practice need to be, lock yourself into the ashram, go and be somewhere on seva, where all this is given and you just, have the propensity for that. Or ground yourself and get your act together. So now we've covered that, what already it set itself as a, let's say, the template from where these energies are playing themselves out. because planets here represent the powers. They represent these qualities, and these qualities are playing themselves out on our behalf. We think we are in charge, but in fact something else is going on. So astrology in depth has a very different perspective on this. Astrology, at least Jyotish, why is it called Jyotish, is the science of light. Jyotish. Science of light. And in that science of light, it is given the access to the trajectory of the soul, so that the soul can navigate its journey here at the maximum capacity to become that what is sole purpose of incarnation. So that being covered now, this how to make a living, will I be okay in all the rest of it, you see? Again, these propensities, they will play themselves out. So whatever the propensity, if the propensity to form family and experience that, what comprises that communion, that union, that unit, family, it's a karmic churning, you see? The quickest way to know how one is full of poop is to enter relationship, because alone we are all fantastic, fluffy and shiny. As soon as we enter relationship, suddenly we realize we're not so shiny, right? So relationship is fantastic in that respect, because it just immediately begins to show us what's at play. So, and family is a place where one also does true spiritual work, not armchair philosophy, not sitting there and reading Adi Shankara or Ramana Maharshi, the position of spiritual heart of very little importance there, Kids are going through teething, colics, sleepless night, and no matter what, you have to be fresh in the morning to your tasks, It's like complete and utter sacrifice. And it's not a sacrifice like when spiritual teachers ask these questions. We used to giggle about it many years ago. Spiritual teacher, never had family, never had children, being asked in the interview about this, what it means to, how does this? Well, it's silly even by the interviewer asking, knowing this spiritual teacher had no experience of bringing up kids. Oh, I know all about it. I have cousins. I have this. I go and I spend weekend with and I know how little ones are. And yes, of course, it's like, yeah, you know it all, Children are flowers. It's best when they grow in the neighbor's garden, that proverb. Because they're the greatest butt kickers, and that's why family is not Christmas. It's a continued work. And when you think you're done, then the real work begins. It's like work, work, work. In fact, it's an amazing ground for down to earth, self-sacrifice, and the self-sacrifice for which one would never be acknowledged. No medals would be given. So you see, it's kind of very quickly works on that sternly, full of sharp corners, selfish, full of kind of idiosyncrasies personality. It begins to polish them off mercilessly. Particularly in this respect for mothers, because mothers here sacrifice by far more than fathers do. Also, this could be explained somehow, maybe at the level of the nature. But propensity would be still there, what wants to be experienced, what needs to be experienced for growth. So once you are placed in the position of responsibility, you see, because it is a position of responsibility, then by hook or by crook, things will pan themselves out. You know? That's the way it works. It will pan itself out. The livelihood will present itself. You would have to find a way. So no need to worry. Free your mind from that. Free your mind from that worry, from that concern. Whilst at the same time, of course, be down to earth and smart with regard to that bread doesn't grow on trees, right? And to understand healthy relationship to the flow of the resources. So all these spiritual laws, right, of success are by far more important than these endless workshops on manifestation. Because the most important law here, factors are exchange of energy. Exchange of energy. So there's no straightforward fairness, but there is no also complete unfairness. Nature finds its way to balance things out, particularly already for those who are born in a privileged, let's say, placing in terms of how the state of affairs right now in the world. You see? Because spirituality, it's a luxury. Pursuing this is a luxury, we understand that. Born in a ghetto somewhere in any part of the world where survival is an everyday affair, what's spirituality? So we need to understand that we are positioned in where that privilege is given. So this is a tremendous privilege to be honored, of course. And with that also comes the responsibility. But fear for, and worry and fear, concern for one's livelihood is a stuff of all sincere, wise, spiritual seekers, because, you know, it's not a tropical climate where you can renounce and just be naked and, you know, go foraging, and then when you're really hungry, you go to the village and people will feed you. That's not the setting. That's not the case. So, therefore, all of you, I'm saying now, all of you who are at this age are now also forming new culture. All of you forming new culture. This shift, this major shift is happening. This, in times of globalization, there have to be these subcultures. In fact, as many subcultures as possible, better. So this new nucleus of new, radically different way of coexistence arising and should arise. So where the exchange of energy is based on these spiritual laws, not the outlived sort of like a, you know, T-Rex laws. And it's happening right now. So it is up to you folks. Not that I'm so far remote. You know, I'll stick around. I'll do my part. You know, I'll do whatever you guys tell me to do. You know, like just I'll do my best. But it is those of you who are in your prime or coming to your prime in these young years are forming new culture, giving birth to new civilization which will rise on top of the ground of the civilization that is collapsing as we speak. And that new forms of exchange of energy are being born. So all your worries and hesitations are legitimate because you don't want to place yourself and plug into this senseless, mindless matrix of how things are. The horror of that, like American dream, for example. It's a nightmare, right? That dream of the pinnacle of civilization. Things are going to get tougher, in a way, in many ways, with all this artificial intelligence upon us to begin to tighten the bolts, tighten all these loose areas. But the process is unstoppable, you see? Just 10,000 people like yourself who desire something in their heart, the new, they can rip apart this whole machine, destroy it completely with that Shiva energy. You see? But for that you need to be also courageous as well. So this courage is what is exemplified by spiritual warrior. In Los Angeles it's called badass. Okay? You have to be that. Healthy dose of that. Knowing that you would have to get to your objectives by the way of determination, but with a very different set of agendas. These agendas are no longer driven by outlived paradigm of divide and conquer, of fooling someone, lying, destroying, and causing suffering left, right, and center. No, by unifying, including, unifying, all-encompassing. And then you would just realize how nature just takes care of all the needs, because it works that way, because you're not separate from that energy, you're one with that energy. That's all I can say right now. And know that you're not alone. There is a growing, literally, unseen army rising as a big wave of consciousness that's no longer prepared to live by these outlined perspectives that lead to the, praying for the Armageddon. No, it's not happening. It's gone. It's passé. It's like, it's like, wake up, the world. This is not really the reality that we envision for ourselves, for our children, grandchildren. So, may that power be with you. May you be one with that power. And may you succeed as you will. Thank you.